League of Legends and poker have an absolutely crazy amount of similarities. I've played League of Legends at a high level for a while now, and due to burnout, I've quit multiple times, and one of those times I took a small break to play online poker. During that break period, I've had coaches that eventually led me to become a profitable player in online Texas Hold'em cash games. I completed the challenge of turning $500 into $5,000 in a month, and I always joke with my wife that if I become too old and shitty at fast-paced video games that I will 100% go into poker full-time. Now listen guys, I know a lot of you can't be bothered to play poker and that the average gamer can find its graphics a little bit uninspiring, but guess what? Because my videos are awesome and you've already clicked your subscribe and notification bells, then you already know I've done the poker playing for you, and I've got the best poker tips that are actually incredible League of Legends tips. So by the end of this video, I promise that you will not only be a better poker player, but a better League of Legends player as well. Let's go. First, we have to get this concept out of the way because both amateur poker players and league players need to come to terms with reality. Let's say that you are in gold or platinum and you've been there for a couple of years now. You drink your G Fuel and you play your session and you get 3 AFKs in a row. You angrily start telling your higher ELO friends about how unlucky you are, but to your surprise, they don't give a shit. These mean dinguses even go as far as to tell you that if you were as good as you think you are, you would have already climbed, but you don't believe it. You saw the 3 AFKs, and you think the world and Riot is out to get you, and they want you to lose and only you. So does this sound like someone you know? In poker, this same mindset traps people a lot, and the poker guys are normally way more used to it. Some of the more famous professional players have articles written about them when they go on loss streaks. And this is not just some LP MMR that they are losing either when the game decides that it doesn't like them. No, we are talking about potentially million-dollar downswings. Now, if those players fight through the downswings like that and remain profitable, you must understand how ridiculous it would be to think that a game like League of Legends is luck-based. I mean, League is newer, less solved, and has way more opportunities to gain an edge over your opponents. So, in order to proceed in poker, League of Legends, and probably life, you must first swallow your pride and accept that you are absolutely terrible at the game. In League and poker, you are likely making tons of mistakes every session, and no one gives a shit about a low elo player's bad run of teammates, just like a professional poker player netting a ton of money probably doesn't give a shit about your low stakes $20 bad beat. You know why? Because they have had your experience at a more impactful level 1,000 times over. So, like a poker player needs to learn to not blame his cards so much for not making money, you need to learn that your teammates have very little impact over your rating as a player. Having a good understanding of your emotional stability or lack thereof is a huge component of poker and by an obvious extension, League of Legends. We are all familiar with the term tilt and how it pertains to a player's mental state. If you tilt and lose your game because you can't calm down, that's obviously bad. But one of the more secret poker lessons that you can learn from comes from the phrase, do not tap the glass. And it basically goes like this. If there are bad players, also known as fish at a poker table, no matter how bad they are, and even if they happen to beat you, you must never berate or flame them.
Yeah! Yeah, baby! Come on, Russian, get out! It's time to go. Yeah!
Why? Because if you want to be a good poker player, you need to feed off of these same newbies to get more money. So by tapping the glass or being a general dick to the fish or newbies, you are scaring them away or just pissing them off. Now, let's apply this to League of Legends. If you spam ping your teammates, they might give up. If you flame them, they might give up. If you flame someone on the other team after beating them, guess what? You might get them next game on your team, and they might not like how you treated them in the previous match. Not to mention, if you get that same bad player on the opposing team, and I'm air quoting bad here, he might likely try even harder to beat you now because you made the game personal to him. Being an emotional rock, however, allows your results to be less likely to be influenced by tilt or just bad emotional management. This is easy to practice. Remove all text chat and those potential in-game negative behavioral temptations, and only just communicate with pings. In poker and League of Legends, this is one of the hardest things, though, to actually apply, because it is, after all, League, and it can get frustrating losing because Timmy on Yasuo 420 doesn't feel like playing. I personally have been playing League for a long time and still have to work on this constantly, but keep working at it. If you are winning less than usual in your sessions, maybe it's because you can't stop tapping the glass. In League, most players generally know what champions do, just like a poker player knows what cards are best in a given hand. But poker players are using graphs, in-session data, hand history reviews, they're hiring coaches, and even taking additional poker classes to swing the odds even more in their favor. This use of resources is something that the average League of Legends player doesn't do a great job with at all. The common uses that they have are win rate tracking from u.gg or builds from places like Mobifire or YouTube. But if a player really wants to take their Summoner's Rift brain to poker player levels of enlightenment, here are some really good tricks. op.gg can multi-search teams in Champ Select and decide if they're trolls or someone that's like game-losingly bad. All they got to do is copy and paste and throw it into op.gg. If someone is first timing a champion or on losing streaks with horrifyingly bad KDAs, you can dodge. If you have a Smurf on your team, you can always keep it. Any player can be stalked, studied to gain valuable information about a playstyle that you want to learn without them even knowing it. All you got to do is copy their name into the search function like so in the client, and you can review their replays. This is an amazing solo queue study tool that not many people use. LOL ProView is a paid website from Riot that allows you to see VODs from pro players in tournament environments. I mean, you can see their mouse clicks, everything. And emulation in League of Legends is a huge part of the learning process. So if you want to learn how world champion Gimgoon does an int when playing Gangplank into Rise, you can see exactly where he wards, positions, and pings throughout an entire lane phase. ProView costs a little money, obviously, but if you aim to be a booster, a high elo streamer, or a professional player, then it's obviously worth it. Remember that out-of-game resources can produce positive results quickly and efficiently. Sometimes it's better to just stop grinding for a bit and build up your information bank, and maybe save some money and hire a coach. NEACE. Sometime. A lot of people don't believe this, but poker is a skill game. But in order to figure out if you are actually any good at it, you need to risk your money and be willing to do that over around 100,000 hands minimum to get an accurate skill reading. In League of Legends, we unfortunately do not have that luxury. A hand of League of Legends on average will take you about 20 to 25 minutes. So the sad truth here is that in order to find out how good you can be at this game, you need to start playing ranked a ton more than you probably are. Most players give up ranked altogether after loss streaks or simply expect to see the results without the work. We don't have the ability to multi-table in League of Legends, as cool as that would be. So, how many games of ranked would you need to play in order to know how good you are? I think you would need at least 500 games to really see what your true ranking is. Because, like in poker, you could legitimately be unlucky or very lucky in the short term, and that could give you an inaccurate representation of where you should be. This is why you see players in ELOs that they shouldn't be for a short time. So don't be hard on yourself if you go on a loss streak, and don't get a massive ego if you start win streaking like crazy. Just stick to your game plan and focus on the next game, because if you let your results alter your perception of your skill level, you might start playing suboptimally as a result. And lastly, don't forget, when you start playing all of these games, just because you win a game does not mean that you played perfectly. Always question your decisions and see if you could do something better. Table selection is a cool concept, and I love how it correlates to League of Legends. It goes a little something like this. In poker, if you find that the average skill of the players in the room are as good or better than you at poker, then you just get up and go to a different table. Because like it or not, even if you think you're the best poker player ever, the good poker players know to avoid challenging professional players or grinding poker players, because you're basically just throwing money back and forth into one another. I thought this was cool because in League of Legends, often I advocate for dodging games where players are not up to the skill level that they should be. Long story short, don't feel like you have to go into a game just because you queued up for a game. If you search your teammates and your team doesn't look too great, just get out of the way. Utilize that concept of table selection and it can really help you climb, just like it helps poker players make a lot of extra money. Drop the ego and really try to utilize this concept. So, when you go into your next League of Legends game, I challenge you to channel your inner poker player and to become more mentally aware of your emotional tendencies. Start to look up your teammates and dodge trolls, review games where you didn't play so well, even if it might hurt your ego a bit. Ask yourself if you are playing enough ranked, and try to figure out if you play just to play instead of doing everything you can to win. Study better players and find out why they seem to make a champion that you can't escape gold with look so overpowered in Challenger. Maybe think and analyze league strategy instead of trying to blame your losses on your misfortune or your bad teammates. Maybe you could dodge more. Maybe you should have swapped lanes. Maybe pinging too much caused your teammates to tilt. Poker can teach you a lot, and these guys have made a full-time living out of a game so many people still believe is all about luck. So, if they can do it in poker, you can do it in League of Legends. And one last tip, always dodge if your teammate locks Yasuo top. Instant 5% boost to your win rate. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that stuff that YouTubers beg for, because it does actually really help with the algorithm. Alright, I love you guys, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace, crackers.